There it is, PKN, episode 168. We were just talking about UFC 217.
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Chiz kind of paid his debt in that I guess he paid me for no reason 3 months ago.
Well, he paid you because you were going on and on about me not having paid you yet.
So he paid me on your behalf, and now he's saying that's his payment to me. Well, God, you guys are terrible about paying.
Well, it's more that you were just, you were making
I wanted to be paid for my winnings. Yeah, I was making a big deal. No, this is it. See, the thing is, I want to actually make bets. So, like, if you win, I will actually pay you. And if I win, I should actually get paid. It doesn't work the other way. It doesn't work like if I pay and then don't get paid, and like that's not fair.
Well, it's never been that somebody was trying to not pay you. It was that last time it was that I had paid you, but you were checking the wrong PayPal.
Well, I told you which PayPal to pay.
Is that true, or is that fake news?
Well, I wasn't the one operating the PayPal.
Yeah, right. I told him which PayPal to give me, and then Kitty just logged in and paid some other one. So it wasn't really like I fucked up, which is how Kyle just told that story.
Yeah, we put the money in your left pocket instead of your right. I'm sorry.
I don't even know how many PayPals I have. I click on LastPass and it just goes right.
This is not my problem.
Well, it is when I say pay me here, and then I check it to see if I'm paid. So I think I'm not paid.
I'll put it in your back pocket. You'll
put it in the pocket I tell you to put it in. That's how you pay people.
I know you like it in the back pocket. That's where it's going.
Open the fly, slip it in. I asked for it in a particular way. No, so
card was fucking excellent.
So you haven't paid,
every bit of it.
Chiz kind of paid.
Well, you owe Chiz $3.
The
way it seems.
That's so unfair. Apparently, Chiz gave me $13.37, a late payment, back on August 31st. I didn't even notice it. And Chiz, I think Chiz only owed me $5. I don't know. I might owe him $8.
Well, see, he was paying you on my behalf because you were talking about the bet so much, and he kind of wanted to move along.
Which is
As someone who bets very rarely, there's nothing more annoying than like when I'm like, hey, I'll bet you $10 this fucking team wins or something, and then I win the bet, and they're like, I've only got a 20. Here, you just owe me 10. And it's like, no, this isn't now like I owe you money. I should like, of course, I need the 20 to get my 10, but doesn't that bother you a little bit? Like when they don't have enough to pay you exactly. Like
it's
if I bet
totally
you $50
unfair to watch Kyle flip this like I'm the asshole.
Wouldn't you be like, oh, now I'm on the hook for 50 to give back to Taylor? Like a little bit or no? Doesn't even factor in.
Taylor, I'm clearly not the asshole here. I say pay this PayPal, and I'm the dick because he pays some other one I thought I wasn't paid. And then Chiz pays me for no reason, and now I'm in debt. And like,
I don't know. As the mediator, I'm sensing a little dickery all about.
Oh, I literally copy and paste the email address into the Skype. $5 here. And then when that's not done, I think I'm unpaid, but really they've slipped it to some other account. That's
you guys need to up the betting total. Like instead of the $5 thing, make it all 50 from here on out. That way, it's like
whoa, big spender.
More pressure to I don't know. I mean, that's big spending compared to what you guys are usually betting.
I know.
5.
I'm saying.
Woody just makes it not fun when we bet.
You make it not fun. See, it's great. That's so not fair. Woody makes it not fun when I welch on bets. That's what you should be saying.
Welching on bets.
That's what you should say. When I welch on bets,
act like I'm
Woody
a
expects payment.
Who you're never going to see again. When clearly my intention is to get you the money, and you're just you kind of harass us about the bets and make a big deal of it.
I would have paid you at the conclusion of the fights. That's what Lozon does. Lozon and I, the ref's still making the announcement, and we're getting paid. There's no welching going on.
Well, you should bet with Lozon from now on, so you get that money immediately, and you can invest it and start getting your interest off of it. Like
I can show you my winnings. He made, in fairness to be, Lozon made me sign up for a Venmo account. Are you guys familiar with Venmo? It's like the new PayPal, I guess. It's what all the kids are using. And I was like, $5 PayPal bet, which is our standard like bet. Challenge. And he's like, no, it's Venmo now. So now I have a Venmo account with $5 in it, and I don't know what to do or how to handle that. Next bet.
Yeah, I didn't like that either when like friends were like, oh yeah, like I'll just put dinner on my card. Just Venmo me $20. It's like now I need to download a different app to do something. And then eventually I'm going to buy dinner and you'll pay me into Venmo. And then I'll just have money in a Venmo account. What do I do?
That's exactly the situation.
What does Venmo do that PayPal doesn't?
Nothing.
Oh,
0%.
user interface, I think, is the difference. Like, you can send money via text and stuff. So, like let's say that I pick up lunch or something, but we're gonna split it. You can easily just it's so quick and simple to just send me whatever $8.27 via Venmo. And whereas in PayPal, it's like an ordeal. Apparently,
I
it
get
takes
annoyed
almost
with
a week to pay someone in PayPal.
Because,
You back me up on this, Kyle.
I just don't
Venmo
have
is
the
right away.
password. It
that's
rotates like every week, and I don't have it. And she's been busy, so I couldn't get her to do it.
The annoying thing with Venmo is that like you always have like all my friends at least, and I know everybody uses this. They fuck around with it. So like when I use it, I like to do it seriously. So if Kyle bought dinner, I'd be like, all right, $20 to Kyle for food. Because you put in the delivery line what it is. All of my friends send it with either cocaine, prostitution, just made up things that like they think are jokey, but it's like, hey, if one of us wants to run for office later, we're gonna have to explain all of these $4 prostitutes that we're apparently purchasing for one another.
These very cheap prostitutes. I'm gonna look
very cheap. Honestly, they all seem to be the same price as a Frisco Melt because that's what they really were. You can go back and check the price of a Frisco Melt from 2016, and I'll confirm that. But yeah, I wish everybody would just do PayPal.
Yeah.
I wish everyone would just do one. I'm kind of flexible. My money's in PayPal, but yeah, I don't know. I've never even paid anyone in Venmo. I won my
back
bet.
to the card. That was one of the best, most entertaining UFC cards they've ever put on. You had 3 belts changing hands, 3. GSP looked not quite as good as he used to, but plenty good to take out Michael Bisping, it seemed.
Oh, he won?
Yeah,
He did.
GSP won.
Yeah.
Cody Garbrandt.
Lost.
And all the lost. And in both the Garbrandt fight and the Bisping fight, I thought they were doing well in their first round. Especially in Cody's. Cody won his first round and kind of
10-8, I think.
yeah. I mean, saved by the buzzer there at the end. What's his name is on the ground, TJ, and but Rose comes out and fucking mauls Joanna.
Murked
It was it was very impressive. Joanna looked jerky and twitchy, and she was maintaining perfect distance and then throwing feints everywhere and then lunging in with lefts and rights and just knocks her down and then submits her with strikes. It was a complete dominant victory in the first round. It was very fun to watch. Rogan is screaming, like losing his fucking shit. The whole crowd can't believe it. Joanna doesn't know where the hell she is. And Rose is just like, I'm just a regular person, y'all. Just try to be nice to each other. This belt don't mean nothing.
Yeah, this is just entertainment. Be nice to each other. That's what's important. It was amazing. I don't know about you. When I watched striking,
That's a good winning speech. What's her name?
Rose Namajunas.
All right, she's one of my favorites now.
All right.
I should watch the fight.
Her
she's
her
Lithuanian,
nickname is Thug.
Yeah, she's got Lithuanian. Yeah, that's where the name comes from. They all got fucked up last names.
She's American though. Because Taylor might not know. What was I gonna say? When I watch grappling, I can really tell who's doing well, who's not doing well, who's being slick and getting away with stuff, setting traps. When I watch striking, I mean, I can tell who's punching who, but like, a great example of this, Joe Lozon versus Anthony Pettis, right? Fight lasted about a minute and a half. For like a minute and 20 seconds, Joe was winning, right? He was hitting the guy more than he was getting hit. Everything was going well. And then Pettis saw what he needed to see, and he kicked Joe in like the neck sort of chin area and turned his lights off, right? So who got the better of that striking? Like, you might say like, oh, everything was going well except for that, one kick. Or you might say like, no, that's not how striking goes. He was measuring him. He was waiting until he saw what he needed to see, and then he executed on it. So I was watching Rose, the Thug Rose, let's call her that. I was watching Thug Rose do her thing, and I'm like, yeah, but she's not as good a striker, right? Everyone just knows that she can't beat Joanna Champion in striking. So, God, she
Joanna,
must be
former champion.
she must be. That's a nickname people give her, but yeah, Joanna ex-champion, whatever. She must be measuring her. She must be, oh, yeah, that she knocked her down. I bet she didn't mean for that to happen. And then the second knockdown, she didn't let her up. Yeah.
Bow, bow, bow,
She just,
bow,
and
bow. Those lefts.
The thing is, you can really punch yourself out if you don't finish the other person on the ground. And Thug Rose was just burning every last bit of energy into ending the fight. And I was like, what happens if this doesn't end the fight? She'll be exhausted.
I knew it was over, man.
I didn't.
Like Joanna was like in the fetal position, like on her knees, trying to cover up, but not doing it effectively because like her brain wasn't working well. So like her left hand wasn't over her head. And Rose is she's got one hand like holding her, and the left is just pummeling. She hit her in the head like 8 times in a row.
Yeah, she did.
That fast.
Joanna tapped to strikes, which some people make a really big deal about. They feel like that's a cowardly way to lose a fight. I don't understand, actually. Tapping to strikes to me is just like tapping to arm bar or knee bar. You do that so that you don't get injured, sometimes you realize it's not your night and you tap out.
It depends on the strikes, just like it depends on. All right, so I'll give you a perfect example. We've seen.
But I was going somewhere with that.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so Joanna tapped out with strikes, and she doesn't know. I watched her give interviews that night and the next day saying that she didn't tap out to strikes, and that was like wow, like that to me implies that she was kind of getting beat up there. Her head's not working. She needs to rewatch the tape. She clearly tapped the strikes. Everybody saw it. Rogan saw it. We saw it. She tapped. It was, and she still insists that she didn't.
Yeah, you see sometimes someone will get in a rear naked choke and they won't even try to defend it. They're just like, my way out. Here it is. And I guess there's people who might do that to strikes as well. Like when the strikes aren't serious strikes. I mean, if in her position though, I didn't think she was getting out of there. And Rose had 20 more of those in her, like Rose was going to beat her ear off her fucking head. It wasn't going to end well. That was wonderful. Watching Rose win like that. We all said before the fight, like, I wish Rose would win, but I just don't think she can.
Yeah. I
Were
wish
all of your guys'
that.
bets on the Bisping
we made
Pierre fight?
2 bets. Some were straight up. Kyle and I had a straight up bet on the Bisping Pierre.
St. Pierre. Yeah.
St. Pierre. Thank you. Fight. And then the other was we picked all the fights through the night, and whoever got the most right won the pool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
I just watched the ending of the Bisping
GSP.
St. Pierre one.
Right.
And it's like you can tell Bisping's in trouble on like the down of that 16th elbow. Because for the first 6 of them, I'm like, how many of these are even hitting? He'll push him back and get off, and it's like, no, this is like death by 1,000 cuts right now. Where just enough of that elbow's getting through. It looks.
You're totally
nothing
right.
looks as unpleasant as losing in the UFC. Like I still have so little understanding of why you could get your ass beat like that and be like, you know what, just got to get back in the game and everything. Like I feel like watching that game tape in football in the NFL. It'll be like, hey, see that right there? You're a corner. You just got blown by. Everybody in the stadium knows you look like a fool. And it's like, yeah, but do you see that bitch getting her teeth knocked out the other night? Like, I'd rather be that guy. Like,
I'll tell you what,
there's no sport where it's worse to lose than in UFC.
In the Bisping fight, I would, if I have to pick one of those guys to be, I'd pick Bisping because GSP today looks like shit, and he'll never look the same after what Bisping did to him. GSP got Bisping down, and his wrestling wasn't as good, and his top game didn't look as good. And Bisping's bottom game is fucking top notch. He's cutting GSP from the bottom with these elbows like he's got razor blades on him, like he's a fighting cock. He cuts the bridge of his nose open like a razor. He cuts the top of his forehead open like it's a razor. And when they get up, it's like, who got the better of that? Clearly Bisping did, because one of these guys' face is covered with blood, and the other one's like, all right, come on.
You know why I like that so
much? I'd rather be the guy who wins.
Because people don't practice elbows, right? Like, if we're regularly sparring and we both got 16-ounce gloves on, then we can hit each other. Elbows, though, like you break training partners using elbows. You can't use elbows and knees, really, in sparring. So these guys are just good enough athletes that they're pulling it off against guys like GSP when the lights are shining, having barely practiced elbows from the bottom like that. And he cut him open. And I didn't see a post-fight picture, but GSP, like the bridge of his nose was cut,
there,
right?
And up here too.
Okay.
I saw 2 big cuts. I think there might have been 3. I just can't remember the spot of the third one. I think it was above his eyebrow line. But
Kyle's pointing to his forehead as the other cuts if you're listening on audio.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing that's sort of telling is GSP wasn't there for the post-fight interviews. He was at the hospital getting stitched up. Bisping's there like, oh, it was rough, but now I'm going to go get fucked up at the bar.
Yeah, so if people didn't see the fight, GSP choked him out. He got a rear naked choke on Bisping. So to lose that way is a gentle way to lose. You know, like when friends choke each other out, they use the rear naked choke. It doesn't even hurt, really.
That looks to be the preferred one.
It's uncomfortable, but it's not what happened to Joanna. It's not getting your brain rattled around for 5 seconds until you can't even remember if you tapped. It's
friends never say, let's do the shark in the water drill. I'll pretend I'm, getting hit in the head, and you just pound me until the ref pulls you off.
We're going to do that 5x5. All right, ready?
No, they use a heavy bag on the ground.
We'll go until my arm is tired. Sound good?
Yeah.
God, getting your ass beat
first
until
fight
someone
of the
else's
night,
arm is tired.
one of the, I immediately regretted our pool bet because like we were in a hurry to get the pool bet like established. Like I saw that you and Chiz had both picked your card winners, and I was like, oh, let me rush in and get this. And I knew all the fighters except for who Johnny Hendricks was fighting. I know Johnny Hendricks, and I knew that like he'd had weight problems, but I read that he'd made weight and he still looked good, and I was like, oh, this is a good sign. I bet he got a nutritionist.
Former world champion, second best high school wrestler ever. People don't know that. In all time. Like all the wrestlers who've ever wrestled in high school ranked Johnny Hendricks is second. You know, he went to Oklahoma in college. He's a top-notch guy, world champion, and had some trouble making weights. Now he's at 185. Kyle sees his name and a name he doesn't know.
Boom.
Pick the one
Hendricks.
You know. Yeah.
I'll write Hendricks in there. Then I see who Hendricks is fighting.
Holy fuck, that guy.
The Latino Commando. Fucking this Costa guy who looks like he's 2 weight classes bigger and is ripped and muscular and action figure status.
He failed the eye test ×5. Oh my God.
He didn't look real.
Here, let's make another bet. He gets busted for steroids before 2019 ends. That's the bet I'll take.
I would be shocked if that guy doesn't get popped in the next year or two. I wanted to test him right then and there and use that to get out of the bet because it was clear.
Oh, God.
It was like Costa like I immediately wanted to be whoa guys, hang on a goddamn minute. Did you bring there's a ringer in there that cannot be the man who fuck is
White Yo Romero in here with Johnny Hendricks?
He looks like a power lifter, like a bodybuilder. Like he looks like a guy who's gone for looks rather than effectiveness. And I suppose if the fight had drug on for 4 or 5 rounds, maybe he does run out of gas, but it's a 3-round fight.
The other thing is he's Brazilian, and while it's difficult to convict an entire country, a general rule of thumb in the UFC is if they're Brazilian, they're on steroids.
That seems to be a trend, and I don't even follow the sport. But every time they're like, oh, man, this new guy, Jose Manguillo, is coming onto the scene. And it's like, and he's out of the scene. Turns out he was taking horse testosterone.
Costa, like off the top of my head, I don't know his actual measurements, but he looked 3 inches tall or maybe 4. He looked 5 inches fucking wider. He looked 20 years younger
with a 21-inch waist.
And he looked 3 times as good looking. Like all the things we've said. And he's a really good. He was the best looking fighter on the card, and GSP's on the card. Like great looking, handsome guy.
20 times in the fight, my wife said that I look like that guy, and I'm like, I am so glad you can't see well.
Yeah, right. You said that, and I was like, all right, you do have a similar face shape and everything. But Costa is a Brazilian supermodel.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous.
I immediately regretted that bet when I saw Costa. It was, I was like, gonna be a rough night for me.
My wife watched the beginning of the card with me, and I'm like, you can't pick the card by the looks, right? You know, Fedor, for example, won all his fights, and that guy doesn't look like a fighter at all. But you can kind of, right? When it gets ridiculous enough, You know,
Yeah.
when it's some guy who doesn't even look like he trains versus some guy who's clearly on steroids.
Hendricks looks like I said it as soon as he came out. I was like, Hendricks has the same physique as Jeremy does. My friend Jeremy. Like he's got a bit of a belly hanging over his shirt. Clearly a stout guy, though.
Strong.
Right? You know, like this guy would pick something big and heavy up, and 2 feed bags, one on each shoulder, and go to walking. Like he looked country strong, but also like a guy who enjoyed Hardee's in the morning. He gets a couple gravy biscuits. Get a lot of sugar in his coffee, and he goes about.
Dude, I feel like I could attain the Johnny Hendricks physique.
You have the Johnny Hendricks physique, maybe better.
I may. No, I'm definitely bigger than him. How tall are these guys?
He must be shorter than you because it's a 185 weight class.
Oh, okay.
If you cut to 185, you would look like a supermodel too. You'd be all ripped up and.
This guy Paulo Costa.
Yeah.
You're right. He looks like he would be the body that they use to mold like the superhero suit too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like his abs, like he's got a 10-pack, and you can see he's worked out so hard that those abs are starting to divide like cell mitosis because they're like, we need even more here. Can we fit 20 in? Like you can see chest striations.
Yeah.
Like
his
like,
delts
Jesus
are
Christ.
like balls attached to his fucking collarbone.
It's outrageous. Oh, you said collarbone. My brother broke his collarbone last weekend.
That's not.
That's a rough injury.
Is it?
How do you do it? How bad is it?
ATVing, and I haven't called him yet.
Yeah, because you can't, do anything about it. You just got to put it back in place and then be tender with it. There's no like brace to put on your collarbone.
Maybe an arm
it's
sling.
Really a difficult one. Like, and it's so painful. A kid on my hockey team broke his because he got checked, and it just, instead of rolling into the check, it compressed him, and it just broke like that. And so now, like, he'll still show sometimes, like, hey, remember when I broke my collarbone? And instead of it being a one-line thing, like, you can see without his shirt on, he's got one normal collarbone and then one where it's slightly shorter because it fused together.
Yeah.
And at the time, I remember seeing he was like green, like struggling not to vomit. It was so painful. But that's rough. He was skiing and it happened?
No, ATVing, the like four-wheeler quads. I don't know the best thing to call it.
Four-wheeler.
Four-wheeler, okay.
Yeah, that's what, like, growing up, like that's what we always call them. Because ATV applies to so many things, and I feel like I don't know what the correct thing is, but four-wheeler is what I always called them. And we grew up with those things. Have you ever had a three-wheeler?
Yes. Well, not owned it, but my friend had one, which is half as good.
Death Trap. The only cool thing about a three-wheeler is you can get a wheelie and you can ride that thing all day long. You can have a lot of fun that way.
We just we couldn't drive or anything, so it was like, I don't know. We could go somewhere, even if it's only woods locations. Like, let's go to the pit. Let's go to the big sand hill. Let's go to this. They all had dumb names.
That was the fun part. Let's drive around the pasture, shoot cows with paintball guns.
Yeah.
Let's go to the woods and build a fort.
Don't mind.
They don't even know
they
that
barely
you're there.
mind. They're literally covered in leather.
Yeah, they don't mind at all. Put me in a big suit of cow skin out there and you can shoot me. I won't mind.
We need to spend a brief amount of time as other animals, just so we can settle these debates, right? Is it like...
Yeah, shoot 'em with potato guns.
I don't want to dive too down this rabbit hole, but like how do you know they don't mind?
Because of the reaction that they have when you do it.
Okay, now here's the thing. Like, I know that needles hurt, and my dogs don't even seem to notice. But I think they hurt just as much on a dog. Cats, when cats fall from several stories, I'm told that's very painful, and sometimes they're injured. But they don't react because, their instincts, you need to survive in the wild. And holding your arm and crying like a baby is not one of them. That's unique to humans.
I've shot cows with things that do hurt them, and I've seen their reaction, though. You shoot them with a shotgun, and they get their ass moving along and get back in the field. We shoot our cows.
Is that what they do?
Yeah.
When'd you shoot it with a shotgun?
Shoot them with birdshot right in the ass. Yeah, our cows have gotten out before and traveled like a mile and been on the wrong side of a goddamn highway in somebody's wheat field, and it's like, you bitches gotta go home. Because if a car hits the cow, you're liable for that shit. If your cow is out and someone's in the highway, a car hits and everybody dies, you're liable for that shit. So, and they're smart. Like after a while, they hear and they're like, all right, we're going, boss. So all you gotta do is cock it after a while, just pump it a couple times, and they get their asses moving. And then you find the stubborn cow, and you give her a blast in the ass /pussy, and from 40 yards, 50 yards, just enough to sting the fuck out of her. Again, covered in leather. And I've also shot him with a paintball potato gun. My cousin would be driving the four-wheeler. I'd be like riding shotgun or potato gun, and he'd ride us up alongside them, and I'd fucking blast him in the ass with the tater gun, and that's a lot of fun. I
feel like that would probably get their attention more than the shotgun, aside from I don't know how loud a potato gun is compared to a shotgun. I've never played with a potato gun.
You and your friends used to shoot each other with birdshot?
What we would do is take the shot out, and we'd either load shells or we just disassemble shells, and we shoot the packings at each other, because you've got the plastic packing is in there.
Is it called a wadding, or is that something specific?
I think both apply to the same thing.
Kyle and his friends were blowing their wads all over each other as kids.
As you do.
Packing wads, like they're the same thing.
Okay.
It's sort of synonymous. But yeah, we shoot those at each other, and they fizzle out after about 10 yards.
They're lighter. For people who don't know a shotgun shell at all, the pellets that you shoot hurt are in a little cup. That's the packing, and that cup is made of a lightweight plastic. So just like, even though it leaves the chamber, or what am I looking for? The barrel really fast, it'll slow down.
And it's shaped like a backward shuttlecock. So when it comes out, it opens up and hits the wind, so it like releases all the shots. So it decelerates real quick. But yeah, we blasted each other with those because you got a real gun now, and you can load up and boom, boom, and that was a lot of fucking fun.
That's alarm. Most people don't do that.
My parents would not have been cool with that, and they were cool with a lot of hoodlum shit, in the woods and stuff. We used to have bow and arrow battles. Did you used to do that?
No,
ever?
That's dangerous.
No, not real bow and arrow battles. It would start with like friends, like we'd go in the woods and build our own, and after a couple weeks of, we're 8-9 years old, like after a couple weekends of that, you've gone from like using dry sticks that like break when you're like, why won't this work, to like you find yourself a nice young sapling or like a tree that you take down, and then eventually you start like the first person who puts a stone on the head of their arrow, that is when we had problems, because the first excuse was like, guys, no arrowheads, and we're like, all right, how about round stones? That'll make it go further and it won't hurt that bad. And then one person gets hit in the ribs with one of those, and fucking Ted's mom has to come over and throw a huge fit, and then we can't shoot arrows at each other anymore, and then we didn't hang out with Ted anymore. So that's what you get for being a bitch. Take your lumps. When we're pretending to be when I'm pretending to be an archer of Rohan up there in our sheep fort, and I pop you with a good one, and you're playing the Uruk-hai, of course you go down.
Yeah, he was kind of a bitch to tell his mom about it. Like, I'll get it if he needed medical care, like if you got him in the eye. But in the rib? Come on.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
I bet Ted was a bitch in general, wasn't he? Like, this isn't the first time he complained. He buckled before his friends.
He also complained once because we used to do this game that they probably wouldn't let you do at recess anymore, where like I was one of the biggest kids, and there was one kid once where I like grabbed him by the arms and like, where like you swing like Bowser.
Sure.
And you skip people going, boom, boom, like real quick. Like we would do that, but we were in a bunch of grass, so it was safe. And then eventually I would let go and see how far people would go, and it was a fun game. Like nobody was getting hurt.
Especially you.
I would throw my friends. People had trouble throwing me, and so I was always down to play because they're like, "Hey, you want us to throw you?" And if they did, it was like barely at all. So I always felt safe. But then I pulled one of that kid's arms out of his socket because he wasn't like holding up.
Oh.
He wasn't doing his part. You don't just like go loosey-goosey while I'm doing this. Like, no, we're having a tight chain here. And so then he got
nice to hit puberty at 7.
Yeah, I know. He might not have had the muscle mass. We pulled my daughter's arm out when she was 3. I never said you didn't hold up her end of the deal.
Learned a lesson though.
These are fair. I learned my lesson partially. I did that also during recess once. Like we had a tire swing, and it was like not the one tire like going vertically. It was the 3 chains, like so the tire was sitting flat. The kind that you could really get spinning. And there was this really nice girl in our grade named Rebecca, and she didn't like to play on the tire swing that much. But just like all the other games, they were like, Taylor, get us spinning, because I was bigger. And so I would get people spinning fast. And I was, of course, you don't have much in your repertoire at the age of 9. And so you're like, what am I good at? Fucking getting people going on this thing. Like, I will. You come to, you want to spin fast? You come to Taylor at recess. I'll get you going.
Taylor's a 12-year-old grown up with none of the responsibility.
No, none of it. I put her on there, and and of course there was like a crowd of kids waiting in line and having fun. And I'm like, all right, Rebecca, let's go. And of course I wanted to get it going so fast, and I got it going so fucking fast that her legs were like flying out because she wasn't able to like hold her body like in it anymore. Like she was starting, and she was going wobbly. And of course there's 2 wooden posts that are keeping this thing up. And if you are responsible and you stay tight like you're supposed to, like all the other kids did, you stay pretty much in the center and you just spin so fast. But she, this young girl didn't have the upper body strength, didn't have the core to deal with what I was throwing out there. and so she slowly goes oblong with her body coming out.
Oh no.
Cracks her head on the wooden beam because of course as she gets off balance, it starts rocking.
Yeah.
So quickly,
Oh my
all
gosh.
the kids left. The end, they were just like, this is Taylor's game. Like, we're not doing this. And so she hit her head really hard. She was too dizzy to go get help right away, thank God. And so I had the chance.
There.
And so, no, I didn't leave her. I had the chance to go talk to the teacher first, and I wasn't a bad kid. And so like I got to like tamp down the situation first. Like, Miss Reeves, honestly, don't freak out. You know me. Rebecca had a mishap, not an accident. Just it couldn't be less of a big deal. Come with me, and bring some bandages, And then they took her, and she was fine. She went home early that day because she was throwing up from being dizzy too. Hopefully not from a concussion.
A little concussion, Taylor. She clearly had a concussion.
Yeah.
That might be true. I didn't think about that.
She was too dizzy to know what was up, and she was vomiting. Maybe concussion.
She got to ride the short bus after that, and she preferred it.
Have you ever not gone back and thought about something for so long because like you thought you had it figured out, and then you go back and you realize the truth? Until this very second, I was always like, God, I spun that chick so hard she vomited, and it was like, oh no, it's because she had a slight. Slight-headed.
She had a good concussion, man. I was so the opposite. My high school experience, like I remember this. It was either like the first or second day of high school. So I'm in 9th grade, and the juniors and seniors are stuffing kids into lockers, right? The little ones who couldn't fight back. And I'm looking to my right, and I'm looking to my left, and it's like, these fucking kids are my size. I'm at risk here, like it is time for me to get my clothes on, keep my head low, and head over to the people would queue up at the end of the locker room and wait for the bell to ring. And I had to like get out of Dodge because Woody-sized people were being stuffed into lockers.
I'm glad I never had to deal with physical bullying very much.
Of course
What
not.
bullying did you have to deal with?
Who would bully you? Like a teacher?
See, that's the thing. You didn't have to deal with any bullying. You hardly know. You're like, oh no, I had some emotional bullying. You can't emotionally bully someone who can physically bully you. That
is fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's why I'm not as anti-bullying as I am. Maybe it's more like, it's not that bad. All you fucking people out there making a scene. Like, it's just to be bigger than the other kids.
Check out these jeans I got. Check these out.
Oh.
This is a PKA first.
All right.
Oh, those stretchy jeans?
These are the pajama jeans. They're pajama pants. They're completely stretchy everywhere. They have an elastic waistband, but they look like nice straight leg jeans. I got them off Amazon for $40, and I'm gonna get some more. This is all I'm wearing from now on.
Or it's
no button.
Actual sweatpants. It was just the illusion of jeans.
Exactly. It's actual sweatpants. Like they're really stretchy, but they appear to the untrained eye to be denim. They're fucking excellent. This is one of the best purchases I've ever made in my life. Like
this is up there.
I went out today in these.
What are they called?
He can lounge around in pajamas
jeans.
all day and answer the door and act like he wasn't doing that.
Pajama jeans. They're called pajama jeans. Like I went out today. I went places. I threw a polo on over them. You can't tell as long as you don't see the waistband, which is like stretchy.
You have to specify for men.
For men, yes, because the ladies' pajama jeans they don't. Well, they're for ladies. And if I was a lady, I'd rock a pair of those. They look pretty hot. Those are nice too.
Well, damn.
Are the pockets fake?
No, the pockets are real. That's that's awesome. They've got regular jean pockets, front and back. They've even got the little like miniature pocket in the on the the hip. The real winner. Very very happy about this. It's been.
I think I found them. I might order some of these.
They're $40. They're excellent. Just Chiz has a pair too. I think Chiz's arrive tomorrow. Big fan of the pajama jeans. I can't tell you. I'm ecstatic. They came and I immediately I was outside and I was like, oh, pajama jeans, and I just like dropped trowel right there, put them on. I was like, yes, this is the perfect size. They fit. They're exactly what I wanted. Very happy about these.
Well, that's good.
I've checked out the standings, Taylor. It looks like St. Louis is the second best team in the NHL right now, if you were to go by points. And the Carolina Hurricanes are the third worst team in the NHL right now.
I mean,
so that really sucks.
That's not too good.
No.
Philly, I haven't kept up with them. They beat the Blues the other night. They played their goalie, Neuwirth, played fantastic. Like he had like 30 plus saves, had a shutout. It was a great game.
Well, if they keep that up, they'll hit 500.
They will. But yeah, it's been a weird a weird standings thing. Like Vegas is doing really, really well this year.
Still somehow.
And I'm trying to figure out when they're going to collapse and fall apart. But they're doing better than the Washington Capitals. They're doing better than pretty much every team in the league other than, Jersey. We play Jersey tonight. They're doing great this year.
Yeah, knock them down a peg for me, would
They're
you?
9-3-1. Yeah, I'd like to beat Jersey tonight. But yeah, this season's going so much better than I thought it would because
Well, I'm glad Philly gave you a great player.
Not be doing well. Yeah, you did. Honestly, Braden Shen, I couldn't be happier. Everybody here already loves him. We're like, because so many Philly fans are talking shit on, he only gets points on the power play, and it's like, no, maybe it's because you're not utilizing this dude right. He's clearly not that happy in Philly right now because he doesn't feel like he's getting the time he needs. And then he comes here and we put him on a line with Tarasenko and Schwartz, and they're like one of the maybe like the second best line in the NHL so far this season.
I wouldn't know.
I think I'm just going by like point totals per game. I'm trying. Stamkos, Kucherov, and Killorn, or whoever the fuck is Braden Point, whoever's on that Tampa Bay line, because they're out of control over there in Tampa Bay right now, going hog wild. They're so good. So yeah, that's the only team that I think is clearly better than the Blues right now is Tampa Bay, and I kind of put them on an echelon above everyone because, like, if you just look at how many goals they're scoring, they're doing great. But
their win-loss is similar, though.
It is, yeah. It's pretty similar, but I mean, their top line is so much better than our top line as far as point production. But who knows? Maybe he'll drop off. I
remember
so.
Philadelphia used to have a line. I'm trying to remember. It was Lindros, like Rene, and John LeCue, something like that. And Lacroix. Anyway, they called him the Legion of Doom. They called him the Legion of Doom, and I would get so like, the Legion of Doom is on the ice right now. Like, it's happening, it's going, they scored. It was awesome, and our players were bigger and stronger than everyone else. Back when Broad Street Bullies meant something, and that was fun too because they were really skilled and they were really big, and it was like nothing you could do about it. And Lemieux threw his body around all the time. He would just break people. Like he had what I remember to be a pretty legal, decent check against. Played for the Coyotes, Jeremy Roenick. And,
now he's an announcer and everybody hates him.
Smushed his skull, like his jawbones touched or something. Like, it was ridiculous. And and it's like, that when Eric Lindros is on the ice, you should move out of the way when Eric tries to check you. Don't absorb that shit.
There haven't been too many horrible, brutal injuries so far this year, but that just means that we're due for a couple of gross ones. Someone to get their finger chopped off. You're probably enjoying how Pittsburgh is totally underperforming so far this year. They have won 8 games, lost 6, and then lost 2 in overtime.
Yeah.
They're 500, but their goal differential is like one of the lowest in the league. They've let 16 more goals in than they've scored, which doesn't bode well because it means every time you lose, you're not like a 2-3 loss. You're getting blown the fuck out.
I know. You didn't like that stat last year. I used to pull it out a lot, and you didn't seem to put much weight in it.
Oh, no. It doesn't it honestly doesn't mean much because what matters is the record. But it is fun when there's a team like Pittsburgh who everybody's so, high on, like, oh my God, they're going to three-peat again this year. And it's like, yeah, they are really good. But then to see them start off badly, it's nice.
They lost a player or two who's supposed to be a big deal. I forget the names. They lose their goalie? Did they?
Oh, yeah, they lost Marc-Andre Fleury. He plays for Vegas now. Their other goalie's been doing fine, I guess, and I'm not sure who else they've lost. They got Reeves from us, Ryan Reeves, our favorite enforcer here. But turns out it's kind of what everybody was saying. They're like, oh, they only love him in St. Louis because they've historically always had an enforcer. And it's like, no, he actually produces and helps too. And then now I look at him doing stuff over at Pittsburgh, and it's like, no, they're right. Yeah, they're regretting this trade right now because he is not very good at hockey. He's just good at hurting people. Yeah.
I like that though.
I don't know why they did that anyway. Like, I don't know. The Flyers don't have any big beatdown guys. They're mostly a skill team at this point as well. I would think. Like,
I wish the Flyers would turn that into a winning trend though. It's all my hockey knowledge is so out of date because I used to follow it a lot. But remember when Jersey came in, they had the left wing lock, and then every team starts saying, I know, we'll run 2 forwards and 4 defensemen. That's too many players, but yeah. So they just take their left wing, slide them back on D, and they just played really conservatively, and they won these horrible-to-watch games. And then eventually, that stopped working well, and teams that could score were beating teams like Jersey, and now they're not so bad. I want teams that can fight to start beating these all-skill teams. I want, oh yeah, these guys are great, but they're a glass cannon. And when they run up against a team, who's willing to check them, then suddenly they turtle up into their shell and stop doing what they can. That's
hard to do because you got teams like Chicago or Pittsburgh who are so they're smaller and they're faster and they're very high skill teams. And so if you run a bunch of bruisers out there, the hardest part, if you actually match up with them, you're going to beat their ass. But baiting them into a fight and catching up to them on the ice, most of the time you're just going to go too much for a check because that's your job as a bruiser. And then they're going to, make a skill pass and then
that's what they do.
Be off to the races.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
But if we could just turn the tide a little bit, make that a thing. We should probably talk less hockey, but
a little less hockey. In aviation news, and also Philly sports news. I think he played for the Phillies in baseball. Roy Halladay, have you heard of him?
He's a pitcher.
He was a pitcher for Philly and a couple other teams. He died in a plane crash today in the Gulf of Mexico. Did you hear about that, Kyle?
Yeah. I thought I thought they said Blue Jays. I didn't really care, to be honest.
Oh, Blue Jays and Phillies, I guess.
Yeah, and
he was our ace for a bit in Philly, I think. He was our top guy. And I think he won a World Series. Am I on target there? Do you know?
He might have. My baseball knowledge is so lacking.
Yeah. Me too, but it just happened. You might know if it was the Cardinals the year they won the series too.
Oh, yeah. Maybe. I mean, the Cardinals have won so many. I can't possibly keep track.
Great pitcher. Not much of a pilot, though.
Was he flying?
Yeah, he was flying. It was his plane.
Oh. And, well, Kyle's onto something there.
Kyle is onto something technically there. I mean,
strike 3.
Usually people say wait 5 hours to make jokes. After
time zone. I'm in the clear.
I don't know any of the details, but tell me. I'm just going to apply my own aviation knowledge. Did he fly it at too high an altitude without oxygen and then get hypoxia?
I'm scrolling through the Twitter trending thing, and
it's literally so
yet.
short of time. They probably are investigating. They don't know yet. Probably.
Did he go straight for a while till he ran out of gas? Because that's an indicator.
Is that an indicator that you passed out and you're just dead up there already?
Or you're drunk-ish, just sort of enjoying the death.
Oh man, that's a sad but also kind of good way to die, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Freezing to death. Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. I've heard you're not even cold after a while. It's just kind of pleasant, warm, and there's a strong urge to just sort of nod off. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a peaceful.
Georgia's ranked number 1 in the playoffs now.
The
football team in the country.
I saw that. This is college
according
football.
to those rankings, we'll see.
Well, number 2 and any other kind of ranking that there may be, and we'll be playing Alabama at least once this year. SEC championship and then national championship. So, we'll get to do it.
I don't know much about college football, but for people that know even less than me, all season long, like the press and I think the coaches rank teams, and then towards the end of the season, there's like an official ranking as to who will get into the playoffs, and that came out either 1 or 2 weeks ago. And Georgia, who had been number 2 in those like unofficial rankings, came out as number 1 in the playoff rankings. And I think it's because Georgia's beat tougher teams than Alabama has. Does that sound right?
We face our strength of schedule comes into play. And it's also like how badly you beat the teams you play. Mm-hmm. Although Alabama's been stomping people as well, dropping 40, 50, 60 points on people. We play Auburn this week, which is our, I think they're ranked 10th in the country. So that's going to be our – okay. So that's going to be our biggest hurdle.
After that, you guys are probably going to steamroll
we could
Kentucky and Tech.
Yeah, could easily have a perfect season on the way to a national title. It's within their grasp. They just have to – perform. So that's real cool. And we beat Florida so bad they fired their coach.
Dude, we beat Florida badly. Yeah, and Mizzou is not good this year.
Hell, I wish we could have played them instead of Notre Dame.
Oh yeah, Notre Dame is a very good team this year. We just barely squeezed by them.
I mean, if Mizzou wins out, we could still make it into like the fucking Slim Jim Bowl or something.
The Bourbon Bowl.
The what?
The Bourbon Bowl. That's what the Water Boy played in. The Bourbon Bowl.
The Bourbon. I haven't watched that in so long.
Man, that movie's so fucking funny. I watched a clip from that the other night. It was when he's in class and the Colonel Sanders looking professor is like, "Can anyone tell me why alligators are so abnormally ornery?" And he's like, I know this. My mama said alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth and no toothbrush to brush them with. Well, folks, mama's wrong again. No, Colonel Sanders, you're wrong.
No, Colonel Sanders, you're wrong.
That's one of his best movies. That shit's hilarious.
NC State was in it against Clemson, and they were in it against Notre Dame, who are currently ranked 3rd and 4th. But NC State is currently unranked now because close doesn't help much.
No. Well, again, you might get to play in some kind of a bowl. And I don't know. Most people don't care about bowl games, but if you're really close to, you get money. Your team gets money, and they get to play on a big stage in front of, a national audience. So that's cool, I guess. They'll get an extra game at the end of the year.
Certainly get into a bowl. They're 6-3, so that's they'll have a winning record.
Number 20, NC State playing host to Clemson out.
Sorry, I'm playing a video. I didn't mean to. So they'll have a winning record, and there's some other things. Like apparently state fans do a really good job traveling to see the games, and that makes them attractive to like bowl committees. And they have a band, which you'd think is dumb, but apparently that makes you attractive to bowl committees as well. So maybe we'll get in a bowl.
Did you watch any of 10 Star?
Not yet. I just been watching stupid YouTube videos.
Man, I promise you.
I've only watched
watch the first, 1. Give it 10 minutes, and you'll be like, oh, okay, all right, I'm sold. Maybe it might just be 5 minutes. I'm telling you, like as soon as you dip your toes in this water, you're gonna want a full cup.
I moved from Tin Cup or Tin Star. I like that. That you're gonna want a full cup playing on the Tin Cup, brand. Anyway, I've only watched 1 episode of that, and I agree it's good. I switched over to Stranger Things season 2 to watch that, and it is not very good. In some of the things and the writing and the lines are so stupid it's distracting. Where there's one thing where like one of the kids, I won't spoil anything, but he, the one who got fucked with last season by having to go into the upside down and all that. And even last year, like, oh my God, the upside down. Like, I wish the first adult they told that concept to is like, we appreciate your help here, kids. We're going to call it something different from here on out because that's stone cold retarded. I'm not going to do that. And like they asked the kid now, they're like, so you're having like visions of that other world? And he's like, yeah, like they're like memories, but they're like now memories. And then they're like, tell us about these now memories. And I'm like, oh my God, just call them visions. Just call them visions. Like it's like I'm having a memory, but it's in the present. If only there was a word for it, like a vision, something established in this sort of realm. Like no, and so now like adults will ask this kid like in the season, like, any more now memories to report to us? And it's like, oh, cry, oh my god, that's so poorly written and stupid. And then some of the dialogue between the kids is like plausible, or suspension of disbelief rather, like where kids don't talk that way in real life as they do in shows, because adults are writing the lines. But some of the ways they talk, like it's so clever and tongue in cheeky that it's like this is you've pulled me out of the moment. 2 seconds ago, this kid with teeth problems was having trouble doing basic math, and now he's breaking out like Nietzsche quotes or something. Like no. Anyway, it's not nearly as good as the first season.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into it yet. I watched a few minutes of the first episode, and I couldn't be bothered. I've been watching this show called Peep Show. It's on Hulu. Like that's the easiest way to watch it.
I've heard of it.
It's a British comedy show that's really fucked up. They're just terrible people, and really have a hard time in life. They're just real losers. He's got kind of an inner monologue going a lot of the time, and like he's insecure because his balls are enormous apparently, and he's always scared the girls are gonna see his balls, and he's just always just never getting the girl, like getting close to getting the girl, and then like his friend will like fake OD and ruin it. Like his friend's just a real cunt. I've got another friend who's just a flaming. He's smoking crack in their apartment. He's like, is he smoking crack? Drugs are cool, Mark. Get with it. It's the times. And it's like, but the crack. It's a pretty fucked up show, and but it's, I don't know, it's easily digestible, and there's not much of a storyline going on. You can watch an episode or two and then zone out. It's kind of like YouTube.
I'm not sure it makes for a compelling story, but I had a really amazing weekend. I did that paramotor thing I talked about. So the mission was to launch from my house and to land at the airport where like Wilbur and Orville Wright took off. And we did it. And like we had 3 fuel stops away on the way. Everywhere we landed, we were like celebrities. Literally no fewer than like 6 or 7 people would come up, take pictures, ask questions about them. They'd see the police were coming at one of the gas stations. The cop came. If there weren't wires, he was going to stop traffic and let us launch in the street. And I had mechanical problems at one point, just a loose belt. And the guy like took me in the back of his pickup and drove me to his dungeon where his tools were. And I tightened it up in a real hurry and flew away trying to beat the sun. And it was like a life experience. Like it was just a one-day thing, but it was really cool. And then we were gonna fly the next morning, so we grabbed like the hotel luggage carts where you stack your suitcases on. We put the lawnmowers on that, and it took them like a mile away to the not the lawnmowers, the paramotors, same thing. And we're like filling up at the gas station with our paramotors on the hotel luggage carts, and it was really, really neat. It was a big deal. At the hotel, a crowd gathered. Like there were like 10 drunks. I don't know why they were drunk. I got the idea it was like a bachelor party or something.
Let me take that for a spin.
One of them, yeah. And they're like, "Can he wear it? Can he wear it?" Like the one guy was really, really interested in it, so we let him put it on, and they took his picture. They said it was his birthday. That might have been a lie, but it was like, "Well, it was your birthday, yeah, I guess." Put this thing on, and. Yeah, I don't know.
Just keepers running away.
It was cool.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. It's no pair of pajama jeans, but no. I got your pictures and I was like, they did get out the luggage carts. That's hilarious. Yeah, that's funny.
It was.
So how long was the total flight, like between the time you left and the time you made it back?
So we had some mechanical problems. If I were to throw it out, let me just think real quick. From like it landed around 7-ish and we launched around 10, so that's 9 hours. But I bet we spent more than 3 at like fuel stops and stuff.
Yeah.
So
that does sound fun.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
It was neat. And then there were a bunch, everyone else was on paramotors, and we're all the same sort of like, can we believe we're taking these ridiculous machines and doing something semi-useful with them? Like you never do. I launch from my yard, I land in my yard. That's what I do. To suddenly like, even if it was a 4-wheeler, or that's what you called it, right? 4-wheeler? Even if it was 4-wheeler and you're like, you know what? Let's take these things 250 miles to the beach. Like that'd be an adventure. But
yeah.
Butt fan is, that times 2, I think. So it was a cool thing to do.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
I have some footage I need to edit up, make a video. So good times. I don't know. I'm still on a high from it. As soon as I got back, like not soon, the next day, I'm on Google Maps. Like, all right, what's interesting within 250 miles from Raleigh? Like that's about as much as I can fly in a day, I think. I'm like, we could go to the mountains. We could go here. It doesn't even have to be that interesting. If 200 miles from here, there was a good diner with a field next to it, I'd make a mission out of it.
Did you get your bear spray?
Yes. Yeah. The bear spray is currently sitting in the cup holder of the golf cart. And as a matter of fact, it's trash day. If I go out there, it could go down tonight. But nice. We have literally, I think talking to him did the trick. And I tried not to be an asshole. Like I said as I told it the first time, I've had an aggressive dog. I'm empathetic to it. But I haven't seen the dog since I spoke to him. So it seems like they've decided, like, I guess we can't have an aggressive dog roaming the neighborhood anymore.
That's good. Hopefully you never have to use it. That'd be a good story if it gets down to that.
I watched some videos of people using bear mace on different things, bears. One where a guy used it on a person. It's very effective. I really hope that you get to use it. That'll be fun.
If you ever get in like a paramotor race, if you could rig up like 2 cans of bear mace to spray behind you, like wacky racers or whatever, where like you get in front and you just missed the people behind you, like it wouldn't be enough for them to 100% know, maybe what it was, but it would be enough to really upset them.
The World Paramotor Championships are going on right now. You've probably been watching it.
Caught up. Yeah.
But there's this high drama. The French team pulled out. They said it was too dangerous this year, and
that's
it's fun
unlike
to watch.
them.
Well, so basically, when you push the speed bar, it makes it so that turning is super dangerous, right? Like picture your wing going through the air like this, tilted up. And then to get your wing in its fastest configuration, you sort of straighten it out. But if you pull the brakes, this being the trailing edge, it pulls the brake down a bit. And that has the effect of lifting it and crumples the front of the wing and they crash. So you can't steer while you're in your fastest mode. That's the takeaway from that. And the goal is to race around these pylons in like figure eights. So they go real straight, they go real fast, and then they like quick get off the speed bar and make their turn. Part of the course was over land, which that's not how you're supposed to set up the course. And the French team is like, no, we're all pulling out collectively. We're not going to crash on the ground.
Pussies.
People are crashing, though. No one's crashed on the ground yet, but I'm watching them just like take these. They fall from like 50 feet in the air into the water. Yeah. And
if you're going to get some more viewership on the World Championship paramotor racing, it's like NASCAR. If all of a sudden they were like, whoa, that turn is far too sharp. All right, like we could hit the wall, and you're like, yeah. You will hit the wall. But someone will.
On the other hand, NASCAR does do stuff, right? Like all of a sudden it's like restrictor plates for everybody, Hans devices, roll cages, like NASCAR tries to keep their drivers safe.
And the ratings go down. That's a bunch of bullshit. As soon as I quit watching, as soon as they put those rear-facing wings on the cars, so that when they start spinning, it decelerates them. It's like if the car's going backwards, like flaps pop up to slow them down, and to keep the car from like flying into the air and flipping. That you'll never get those old crazy bullshit crashes where everybody's flipping through the air and like fireballs are going off like that. As soon as I remember when people died. All right, we were watching when Dale Earnhardt died. It was that was a good day. We got to see some real shit.
I'm not a NASCAR guy, and I remember watching when Dale died, and the announcers were like, "Ooh, that's a bad one." And I'm like, I don't know. It looks like all the other ones. Like he kind of hit. It's not like he went straight into the wall.
Yeah,
he hit a wall and then like curved and stuff. And like to me, I was like, I don't know. It just looks like all the other crashes. But they knew what they were talking about, and there was a dead guy in there.
In class, the teacher was like, "This is a dark day. This is. You think we're gonna look back on this like we did when Princess Diana died, or when JFK was shot?"
And in Georgia, they still do.
Yeah, right? Like, dude, you think I see people with trucks with like the number 3 on the back and like remember forever. Yeah, yeah they commemorate this dead guy on the back of their pickup truck. You know, this guy who drove cars fast. He was an asshole.
Was he?
They called him the Intimidator for a reason. He hit people. Like, come on.
Yeah, it seems like he's like right up your alley for what you wanted in that sport, though, right?
Well,
if he's called the Intimidator and he would bump people on purpose.
Yeah, he crashed people on purpose. Yeah, that's what he did. He was a
that's a good point.
Reckless, aggressive driver, and who cares? It's a silly sport. They're driving in circles,
Yeah, that's got to be one of those sports where it's just all about the environment. Like the environment.
It's the biggest spectator sport in the world, right? Yeah. Like there'd be like 250,000 people at those things. It's enormous because the track's so big. They just got seating all the way around. I've never been to one. You can't get me to go to a spectator event when I can get a better viewing experience here at home with my television. Like just look at football. But football's kind of annoying when you don't have the yellow and red line showing you. Like
You're so right. But you went to a hockey game, and aren't they better in person?
Yeah, hockey games are better.
That's because of the small rink size, the small playing area, and the fact that you can get right down there on them. Like that Colorado game we went to, that was excellent. Although I was at a Thrashers game, and I was like, I don't know, maybe like $20 tickets or something like that, and that was lame. That was much less fun than what Taylor and Shiz and I did.
There's a reason the Thrashers left twice. Yeah, they did not put good teams on the ice for the most part.
We had a good year that year. And Kovalchuk.
The last Hurricanes game I went to, I took notice of a couple things. Of course, there's the skill difference, right? I'm like, wow, they take like 2 strides from blue line to red line. They're to center ice. Like, that takes me 5 strides. It's a whole oh my God, why is every stride so effective? The other thing, their ice was really white, whereas when you play in the beer league, it gets kind of gray or something over the course of the season. And all their uniforms were perfect. Like it was the first day they wore them. And meanwhile, mine, they look terrible. They look awful.
I like, it's annoying to me. I know I'm not paying for their sticks or anything, but like the players who just break sticks, every period, like a pass will go wrong and they'll be like, fuck, and break it. It's like, there's $300 more. Yeah. Just break another one, asshole. Like in basketball, like you don't see them like miss a shot and get the ball back and just stab it and be like, fuck that ball, get another one out here.
That is totally the parallel. Yeah. Goalies do it too. Goalies break their stick over the nets, or players just throw a temper tantrum and But you as a regular player, I
enjoy the tantrum.
When you don't have an outlet for that rage, you get basketball players storming into the stands and just whooping the shit out of random attendees.
I'd rather watch that,
right?
Hey, that guy deserved it. He was next to a dude who threw beer.
That's right. That's exactly what happened.
He should have known not to be sitting in the section he paid for. Yeah.
I think the only equivalent to that is in basketball when they break the glass. Yeah.
Backboard.
The backboard, yeah.
Oh, Shaq used to do that. Shaq would sit there and claim that he did the physics on what it took. Like mass times velocity equals force, and it takes it. Shut the fuck up, dude. You were just grabbing the rim.
You weigh 300 pounds and you reached up and grabbed something. Of course, you don't need math.
Did they make a rule against it? People don't even try it anymore. Or maybe they strengthened the nets.
They just strengthened it, I think.
Yeah. I don't know if any of that.
He used to break the backboard, and then he used to tear down the whole mechanism. Rim? Well, not just the rim, but the rim and the backboard and the arm would come all tilting over.
Jesus. Yeah. There's cameramen under there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
it is a little dangerous.
As fuck.
He's under there. He would get it. I don't think anyone ever got hurt, but yeah.
He's big. He could take it.
Yeah, he would have been fine.
I don't know. You're giving him a lot of credit. I think if a net falls on someone who's hurt.
You see that picture of him and Demetrius Johnson next to each other?
No.
He takes shits bigger than Demetrius Johnson. Demetrius Johnson is just barely above Shaq's waist. It's absurd.
Demetrius Johnson, for people that don't know, is probably the most skilled, best pound per pound UFC fighter to have ever lived. Right? There's a couple guys. Man.
Nah, it's GSP.
Okay. GSP. Demetrius Johnson, GSP, and Anderson Silva, I think, is the short list. You know, those are the three that people talk about. And but he weighs 125 pounds. So I wonder how big a man he can beat up.
John Jones. I think because of strength of schedule, Demetrius Johnson falls behind a John Jones who cheated his way through the whole thing, or a George St. Pierre, because hasn't George won 3 belts now in 2 different weight classes?
That's exactly right. Yeah, and John Jones, that's a good. I guess I didn't count him because of the whole drug thing, but
yeah.
Also, strength of schedule is a funny thing, and it's not just fighting; it's any sport, right? Like Michael Jordan didn't have a great rival, you know, because he dominated. Am I right on that? Like, who was his rival? Ewing, Olajuwon,
Magic, Charles Barkley.
Really? Like I think of Magic and Bird, right? Charles Barkley never won a single time, right? Charles Barkley's rivalry with Michael Jordan was much like my own, completely winless. So, and that's kind of, so does that make Jordan less of a player or more dominant? And that's the argument that you could use on the other side of the DJ thing. Like, I don't know. It just seems like
we're gonna find out when TJ whips his ass.
So if people don't know, TJ fights in the weight class above 135 as opposed to 125. And he thinks he can make 125. And he called out Demetrius Johnson, DJ, and he said no. He didn't want to fight. He wanted to fight a guy who was always in his weight class so that he could, I think, break the consecutive title defense record. Well, he did it. And now he's talking about a money fight, and TJ wants a money fight. And he's like, look, I'll go down to 125 and I'll whip your ass. Man, if he beats the scale, I want to see that fight so bad.
Yeah, I absolutely do. That'll be a big fight. He talked about how he'd do it. He's like, yeah, I'd have to lean down. I'd have to, lose some of this muscle mass. But I can absolutely hit that weight. And I think he can. He looked incredible. TJ looked incredible in the ring. Maybe better than Costa, just a miniature version. Like his core is just absurd. Like every bit of him is absurd. TJ looked amazing.
Interesting thing about TJ. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought there was a break.
He could shed that weight and get down there.
He never looks bad, right? Like if you catch John Jones between fights, he doesn't even look that athletic. He gets straight up fat. There's a couple other guys, who just they get into shape during camp. TJ just lives the lifestyle of always being really, really fit. And
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if he can do it. He says he can do it. So what do I know?
I want it. I want it.
I know I want it. Yeah.
I want TJ to get whooped. Or I want Demetrius Johnson to lose. To lose. That's what I want. I like these super fights. I'll tell you what I want. What I really want is GSP versus Conor. I want GSP versus Conor. I want that fight at 155.
At 155, I do too. GSP says he can make it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I want. And like Rogan was talking about this, he's like, because they were shitting on Madison Square Garden. They're like, it's old and run down. He's like, Muhammad Ali doesn't fight there anymore. Like that's it. There used to be amazing things there, but like not anymore. And Rogan was like, Rogan started talking about the Coliseum. He's like, imagine that if you had GSP versus Conor in the Coliseum. And I was like, oh, that would be incredible. Like imagine like the low camera and you can see like the walls and stuff all decayed and there's only like seating room for like 1,200 people or something like that. So it'd be this small crowd of.
Isn't the Coliseum also the name of a giant football, like where USC plays?
I have no idea, but I'm talking about the real Coliseum, like in Rome, right?
Oh, I wonder which one they were talking about.
They were talking about the ancient Coliseum as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, when I heard Coliseum, I'm thinking that 80,000 seat place where I think.
No, I'm going the other way. Yeah, we're going to the ancient Coliseum, like where Bruce Lee and what's fucking
Hakeem Alive? No, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
It's
Chuck Norris.
The white guy, Chuck Norris. Yeah, Chuck Norris. In I can't remember which movie, but Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris fight in a fake Coliseum. It's so bad. It's like forward screen projection or whatever they call it, where they like fake that they're in the Coliseum, but like. Oh man, I would love to see something like that. I don't know if it's not feasible, I guess. But GSP said he would come back at 155, like when he was teasing this whole comeback, like in like February or whenever. I think he could make 155. He just seems like such a professional.
He said he was small for 170. He never seemed small to my eye. Yeah, he's so jacked. But apparently really muscular guys can drain more water, cut more weight than fat guys. So
and the muscle's more dense than fat, so you know he could lose the muscle too. He would have to. It would be interesting.
I want to see. Oh my god! Imagine if that's the same card. DJ versus TJ, GSP versus Connor on one card.
Yeah, that'd be incredible. Yeah, I love that. And then you get, maybe do that Rose Joanna rematch, because that's got to come next for Rose. They got to run that thing back. They got to do that again.
Yeah, usually when there's a rematch, the same thing happens. But it's like, well, that wouldn't happen again. That was a 1 in a million, right?
Yeah.
Right?
And Rose comes flying arm bars, and you're like, oh, okay. All right.
Did you see the one where Rose won by flying armbar?
Yes.
So, for people that don't know, Rose has a YouTube channel, Hyper Die. She doesn't really do it anymore, but she used to. And 4 or 5 years ago, they vlogged their whole day on a Rose fight night. And there she is ahead of time, like nervous and such. And then they get the fight. Her fiance, Pat Barry, boyfriend at the time, was just so excited for her win. It was so genuine and so awesome. You love it. She won by flying armbar, if I recall. And after the fight, she's just crying with joy, just tears, like can't believe how great things are. She's really sweet. I've liked her since before she was in the UFC.
Did you see her fight against the karate hottie?
Yeah.
Fucking face kicks her and then rear naked chokes her, and there's blood just oozing out of her nose. That was hardcore.
Her fight against Paige Van Zandt was one of my favorites.
Good, yeah, I enjoyed that too. Paige needed a good ass whooping. I don't like that. She's just a pretty face to sell Reebok shit. I like when she catches a good ass whooping.
Oh, I like Paige too. I've never seen Paige ever give an interview where she didn't come off as really nice and likable.
Yeah, of course she's nice and likable and pretty, but I'm watching people beat each other's skulls in. Like that's what I'm here for. Like
she's pretty good at that.
Well, not against Rose, she wasn't.
Not against Rose, she wasn't. No. Well, actually, that fight went. Did it go 5 rounds? I forget, but I remember it being long and hard. And Paige Van Zandt did not win. It wasn't like it was a close fight, but she took a tremendous amount of abuse, and that's when she cemented herself in my eyes as a fighter, right? Like a fighter is not just someone who goes in there, touch a death stew on the nose, and like that. I guess that's a fighter, but someone who doesn't give up when the going gets tough, like that's a kind of fighter.
She did tap to the choke very fast. Like that choke went.
Did she?
And she went 1, 2, tap, 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 tap.
Her face was a bloody mess, and her face is her fortune, and she was just like, I was
thinking that
you guys are the
Rose
ones worried about this face. I'm in
her?
here. Yeah, she's a fighter. She has a fighter's heart, a fighter's soul. I like Paige Van Zandt. She's not as good as Thug, I guess, but she's a fighter in her on the inside.
Yeah, for Taylor's benefit, she is the best looking UFC fighting woman. She's very hot. And Rose is dropping those elbows on her, and you're like, oh man, if she hits one of those right, it's gonna be like a fucking battle axe hit this chick in the forehead. It's gonna be bad.
I don't want to watch a pretty girl get beat up.
Right?
That makes it sadder.
Both of those that I just Michelle Waterman, I think is her name, the karate hottie. She's Asian, very pretty, and this chick, Paige Van Zandt, also very pretty.
She is very pretty.
Yeah,
I can put her on the screen for people watching the video version. That's what she looks like. She's pretty.
Yeah.
And she's still pretty. They heal up pretty well. They got a good cut man in the UFC.
Yeah, GSP somewhere right now, all stitched up. I was impressed. I was very happy when Bisping was throwing those elbows from the bottom. I thought that was it. I was like, when they get back up, only one of these fighters is going to be able to see. If that cut had been here instead of here, that could have been the fight.
I've asked Joe what is that like, to have blood in your eyes? He's like, have you ever opened your eyes in the shower? He's like, it's like that, but red. And I'm like, and I used to do off-road racing a tiny bit, and I've had mud in my eyes, like a really liquidy mud, and the same sort of thing. Like it's mud. It's like looking underwater, but it's brown.
I've had milk in my eyes, and
That's about this. Yeah,
that's very hard to see through.
I can imagine. It's just like blood or mud. And so GSP was doing kind of a different kind of blink, like a hard sort of trying to clear this off blink. Yeah. And Rogan pointed it out, but he hit Bisping just right, and then he went down and finished him. And if you heard him talk about it afterwards, he gave Bisping some space to get up, and then that exposed his back, and he baited him into being able to take his back. And then he put the rear naked choke on incorrectly, and still made it work. And yeah,
it was the wrong side, but still his hands were hitting so well. His hands were. It was way back here. Like there was nothing to grab onto.
The escape was there. Like Bisping could have potentially twisted his body in it. Like that's he only controlled the side that he didn't want to roll. The side he did want to roll, GSP didn't have good control on. But
he squeezed that man's head so hard his eye went
I'm sure if I was in that position, I'd have rolled properly.
I'm sure.
One of Bisping's eyes looks the wrong way because he got it knocked silly one time, and he choked him so hard that thing looked in the right direction.
Yeah, Bisping said he was going to retire if he lost. Then afterwards, he was like, I don't know what else to do. I really like money, so I think I'll keep fighting. It's like,
he'll go fight in England on that
Liverpool
English card, Liverpool card. And they'll give him an easy fight, and he'll whip somebody's ass, and he'll ride off into the sunset with another check.
I'm curious. Taylor, what did you just look at?
What did I just look at?
Can you say?
It just my oven clock.
Okay. In your other apartment, you used to look over every so often, and I always assumed you were looking at your girlfriend, like, telling her
and the
time estimate or something. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't have asked. Maybe it was impolite, but I had to know.
Oh no, it's an oven clock, and the reason I was paying attention to it is because I'm like, it's already 7:23, and I'm like, oh no, the whole time thing. I need to switch that and fix that. It's only 6:23. There's a little look into my life, totally behind the times on my oven clock. I need to. Everything's in shambles. I need to.
If it doesn't, it's again not a great story, but because it gets dark at like 5:11 now, I can totally go paramotoring, land, and still hit Taylor's preferred 6 p.m. PKN start time now. Like this time of year, there's no conflict. There are times in the summer where I'm like, if the day starts with 2, I can't fly.
That's a good way to think of it for me, that we can do earlier PKN now, because I always hate this time of year because it's just depressing. Like by the time you're off work, it's just dark, and you're like, oh, well, I guess what do I want to do? I feel like doing nothing because there's no sunlight to even take advantage of. But it's been so glum around here the past week, just like constant cloudiness and rain.
I think that's what's coming our way now. It started today. We had nice weather. We mowed yesterday.
It rained, so we had a crazy thunderstorm roll through today with hail and lightning and trees getting blown around. Like pretty big hail.
Yeah, that's notable.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say kind of dime-sized, I guess. Like large hail. Like you could see it on the ground scattered about.
We just had that
scary,
depressing, leaky gray sky thing.
Yeah, I hate that.
It's like it's hardly even like you wouldn't use an umbrella for this kind of falling mist, but. There it is. I guess it's a drizzle. There's a word for it, but somehow that doesn't.
It's just enough to ruin outdoor activity, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Just enough.
Yeah, I was toggling the windshield wipers between full, slow, and off.
Yeah.
All right, call it a wrap.
A wrap, eh?
Yeah. All right, PKN episode 168, Rain Talk.